Right now, somewhere in your house, there's a book you haven't finished, a course you paid for and never opened, a version of you, leaner, sharper, more successful, that you promised yourself you'd become. And yet in the last hour, you probably opened Instagram without even deciding to. That's not a willpower problem. It's not even really about social media. It's about a 3.5-pound organ that was built for a world that no longer exists, and it is very good at its job. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why your brain betrays your own goals and the one shift that lets you finally use its wiring for you instead of against you.
Here's the scene almost everyone recognizes. You sit down to work on something that actually matters, a business, a degree, a skill, a body you're proud of. 5 minutes in, your hand is already reaching for your phone. You tell yourself it's just a quick check. 40 minutes later, you surface, disoriented, slightly ashamed, and no closer to the life you say you want. This isn't a character flaw. Ask anyone, the straight-A student, the CEO, the monk who meditates 2 hours a day, and they'll admit the same pull exists in them too. So here's the real question this video is built to answer.
Why does your brain reliably choose the app over the ambition, even when you know with total certainty which one will actually make you happy? The answer isn't about discipline, it's about design. Both the design of the apps and the much older design of the brain they were built to exploit.
To understand this, we need to talk about dopamine, and almost everything you've heard about it is slightly wrong. Dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical, it's the anticipation chemical. It doesn't fire when you get the reward, it fires when you predict one might be coming. In the 1950s, researchers ran a famous experiment on rats with electrodes wired to their brain's reward pathway. The rats could press a lever to stimulate it. Some pressed that lever up to 7,000 times an hour, ignoring food, water, even their own exhaustion, chasing a hit of anticipation that never fully satisfied.
Decades later, a researcher named B.F. Skinner discovered something even stranger. Rewards that come on a predictable schedule are far less addictive than rewards that come on a random one. He called it a variable ratio reinforcement schedule. You know it better as a slot machine. You don't get hooked on a machine that pays out every time. You get hooked on one that might pay out this time or the next or the one after that. Now look at your phone. Every time you refresh Instagram, TikTok, or your inbox, you don't know what you'll get. Maybe it's a boring post. Maybe it's a video that makes you laugh out.
This isn't an accident. Former tech insiders, including engineers who helped build these very features, have publicly said that platforms are engineered using principles borrowed directly from casino design. The pull to refresh gesture, the infinite scroll that never says you're done, the notification badge in aggressive red, a color your brain is wired to treat as urgent. Meanwhile, compare that to your 5-year goal, a business, a book, a body transformation. The reward is real, but it's distant, uncertain, and it demands effort now for a payoff later. Your brain evolved over hundreds of thousands of years in an environment where later often meant never, where a bird in hand was survival and a bird in the bush was a gamble, is simply not built to weight a delayed, effortful reward as highly as an immediate, effortless one. It's not that your brain is broken. It's that a 300,000-year-old survival system is being aimed at by teams of engineers, data scientists, and behavioral psychologists whose entire job is to win your attention for a few extra minutes a day. It's not a fair fight, and it was never supposed to be one you fight with willpower alone. Let's make this concrete. Picture someone we'll call Maya, a stand-in for a story that plays out in some version in almost every ambitious person's life. Maya wants to write a novel. She's wanted to for 3 years. Every January, she opens a fresh document and writes a hopeful first paragraph. But every evening, after a long day, she sits down to write, and her phone is right there. She tells herself she'll check it for 2 minutes first, as a reward for finishing work. 2 minutes becomes 20. 20 becomes 90. By the time she looks up, it's 10:30 p.m. She's too tired to write. She feels a small, quiet shame. Not dramatic, just a low hum of, "I did it again." And she closes the laptop. Here's what's actually happening in that moment.
Mechanically, the phone offers dozens of tiny, variable, immediate dopamine hits. The novel offers one enormous, uncertain, delayed one, and only after months of effort with no guarantee it even pays off. Given that math, her brain isn't malfunctioning when it chooses the phone. It's doing exactly what reward prediction circuits are built to do: maximize certain, immediate value over uncertain, distant value.
This is why just try harder never works for Maya, or for anyone. She's not fighting laziness. She's fighting a mismatch between how her brain values rewards and how the real meaningful goals in her life are actually structured. The good news, and the reason this story doesn't end at 10:30 p.m. forever, is that the mismatch can be corrected, not through more guilt, through better design.
If the problem is that your brain rewards immediate and variable over delayed and certain, then the solution isn't to suppress that wiring. It's to redesign your environment and your goals so they work with it instead of against it. Here are 4 ways to do that, the same principles behind almost every real behavior change method that actually holds up.
First, increase the friction on the easy reward. Not eliminate it forever. Just add seconds. Log out of the app. Leave your phone in another room while you work. Studies on habit formation consistently show that even small increases in friction, as little as a few extra seconds or steps, meaningfully cut compulsive use, because the behavior was never really chosen, it was just the path of least resistance. Second, borrow the casino's own trick for your actual goals. Break the 5-year goal into rewards you can feel today. A visible streak, a small ritual of progress you can check off, a community or accountability partner who reacts to your updates unpredictably, sometimes with a small win, sometimes with real praise. You're not gaming yourself. You're finally giving your dopamine system a reason to root for the thing you actually want.
Third, make starting effortless. Not write a chapter, just open the document. Not run 5 miles, just put on your shoes. The brain's resistance is highest at the starting threshold. Once Maya opens the document, momentum does what willpower couldn't. And fourth, the one principle underneath all the others: stop relying on daily willpower and instead make one good decision that protects all your future decisions. Turn off notifications once. Set app limits once. Put your phone in another room once. You only have to win that decision a single time instead of fighting the same battle at 8 p.m. every single night for the rest of your life. This is what separates people who seem to have superhuman discipline from everyone else. It's usually not that their willpower is stronger, it's that they've engineered a life where willpower is needed less often, because the friction and the rewards are already pointing the right direction before they even sit down. Go back to that dusty gym bag, that unfinished book, that version of you waiting. None of that happened because you're weak or lazy or broken. It happened because for a while you were playing a game whose rules you didn't know you were playing. A fight between a 300,000-year-old brain and some of the most sophisticated persuasion technology ever built. You were never going to out-willpower that with sheer effort. Nobody has. But you don't have to. Once you understand why the pull exists, you stop needing to fight it head-on. You just build a life where it has less to grab onto, and where the things that actually matter finally get to compete on equal terms. Maya, somewhere out there, eventually did finish her book. Not because one night she suddenly found more discipline than she'd ever had before, but because one ordinary evening she put her phone in the other room before she sat down and gave her own goal a fighting chance.
That's the whole secret. Not more willpower, just a fairer fight. If this made you see your phone a little differently, that's exactly the point. Subscribe for more videos on the science of how your mind actually works, and I'll see you in the next one.